What's happening, everybody? The Job Guys back again, and we are on the road to WrestleMania, and we are going to get you ready for WrestleMania and WrestleMania season, looking back at some of the greatest WrestleManias of all time, and some significant things that happened on the way to WrestleMania, and that is what we are going to do today. Series we are going to call Run It Back, and today we are going to run back the main event, February 5th, 1988, Indianapolis, Indiana. The first time wrestling had been on in prime time, and I don't even know how many years, decades. Nick, this is one of the most significant shows in the history of pro wrestling, is it not?
I don't know how anybody would even remotely argue. I mean, we're going to get into some numbers here later, I assume, and this is on Friday night, and it's just going to do a mega amount of numbers for viewers and on the Nielsen, and it was anticipated. And when you look at those numbers, this was not just wrestling fans watching. This was the majority, I shouldn't say the majority, but the nation was watching, if you will, maybe the world, and we had not seen these two one-on-one since WrestleMania III.
Yep, absolutely. Saturday night's main event was about to be 3 years old, but that was on Saturday night and in the Saturday night live time slot. So you're looking at 11 o'clock at night until 1 in the morning. Numbers were so good on that, they decided, hey, let's put wrestling in prime time for the first time in decades. And, dude, did they come through? You mentioned the numbers. Let's get into it right now. It draws a 15.2 rating on the Nielsen. 33 million viewers. Both records still stand today. Now, you go back and you look at the Attitude Era, and some of those they were getting on cable, mind you, not network television. Cable, they're getting 6.5 ratings, and they're getting 6 million viewers or everything. You look at today, there is only one show right now, Nick, that is on prime time network TV. That is SmackDown. They average a little over 2 million viewers a week right now. So you're looking at like 15 plus times the amount they get every single Friday night. That's how significant this was. This is how big wrestling was. It was pop culture back then. And you've got the two biggest dudes on this show, the rematch from WrestleMania III, Hogan, Andre. They had not been in the ring together. Andre didn't even wrestle until Survivor Series, and then they were in the ring again at the Royal Rumble for the contract signing. But that's another big thing, why this was such a big deal, Nick. The whole business, right, was just completely different than the way it is today, where you have Sheamus and Drew McIntyre fighting every single week, or Big E and Apollo Crews fighting every single week. I've already seen them fight 20 times. I don't care about their angle anymore. I've already seen them fight. They kept these two apart for nearly a year, Nick. That's why this is so big.
Unreal. And, you had that, how should I put it, controversy, if you will, that the heels on the show sold, and I'm telling you, they sold it well. Jesse the Body, week after week. Bobby the Brain, week after week. That we've been listening to this for a year. Andre, when he got his time on the mic, I beat him. I beat him in the first 10 seconds of the match. Yep. The shoulder was down. The hand went down, and when you go back and watch it, I mean, it's close. It is really close, and it was a great job. And for a little Hulkster like me, I wanted to see this resolved. Yeah. I could not wait to see these two in the ring again.
There was always that little, well, maybe he's not lying. It looked like Hogan maybe got his shoulder up, talking about Joey Morella at WrestleMania 3. 1, 2, shoulder is barely up. You're like, Andre may have a point, depending on what camera angle you look at. And then, Nick, they kept him strong after that, though. He wins the Survivor Series in dominant fashion. He beats Hogan up at the contract signing. So you're like, oh, man, maybe he was right. Andre still had his juice from WrestleMania 3, from before, from the Battle Royal, from right before 3, where he just launched Hogan out of the ring like it was nothing. Then you've got the other little thing that came in here, which is actually a big thing. A little tweak in the feud. $1 Million Man buys Andre so he can then buy the belt and hand it over to him. Another thing, and we had not seen, DiBiase look weak. So you're like, who is this new guy? This new guy, man, he's somebody. Added a new little twist in there, man. Just massive. And that's not the only thing on this show, by the way. They went all out for this. All 3 titles, Nick, on the line in primetime TV. You're talking about the Intercontinental, and you're talking about the tag belts as well. I mean, you can't get bigger than that. And huge dudes also. Macho Man in that IC title match against Honky, and then the former champs, the Hart Foundation against Strikeforce. What were you thinking as a little Hulkster back in the day when you heard about this entire show? What do you remember? How excited were you to watch this? Because we didn't see, unless it was WrestleMania or something, and there'd only been 3 of them, you didn't see the belt on the line all the time, unless it was against a jobber on Saturday morning. This was huge. All 3 in the same night.
I didn't have cable in '88, Ryan.
Yeah, me either.
So this was awesome for me. What I got was Saturday and Sunday morning. I got Saturday night's main event, and then I got, when they released the video to the local video store, I could rent it. Maybe I was lucky enough for a buddy to call me over and get to watch it on pay-per-view or something. That rarely happened, though. I could not believe this. All the belts on the line. And I know it's hard for people when we say this because we sound like we're really pushing our era. We're really talking about this. These were the belts, though. There wasn't a European, a 24/7, a hardcore, all these 45 different middleweight belts. IC belt. That was it. That was the mid-card belt. That was it. And the tag titles, there weren't 2 tag champs on different shows. These were the tag titles. And I'll say this, I don't care what Meltzer says, in the greatest era of tag team wrestling the sport has ever seen, you will never see the names of the Demolition, Hart Foundation, British Bulldogs, Killer Bees. I mean, the list can go on and on with these guys. Strikeforce, you're getting on the card tonight. It was just a great era of tag teams. I was so pumped to see this. I just wish we had more. I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Absolutely. I felt the same way. I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling very much back then because my brother and I would always end up beating each other up. I've told that story before. This was the first time my mom was out of town. We had just recently finished The Basement, and this was on network TV. So my brother and I went downstairs and, oh man, wrestling's on. So we watched this, and I'll get into more of that back then. But this was the biggest thing ever to me. And I barely even knew what was going on because I didn't get to watch every week. So this was really like the first time I really got to pay attention, and I get to see this. Just one of the best nights of all time. So what we're going to do, we're going to slightly go through the show, but we're going to go through the show a little bit different. We have some, not awards, but just highlights of the night that we are going to talk about. We're going to say what was the best match, what was the best moment, who had the line of the night. Because back then, you're talking about the golden era of talking and commentating. The most rewatchable event, most rewatchable scene, I guess you could say. What has aged well? What hasn't aged well? What's the funniest moment? And who won this show? Who was the big winner when this sucker went off the air? We're going to talk about all that kind of stuff as we go on. But Nick, right from the get-go, that classic main event, Saturday night main event open, where you've got the funny lines at the beginning and you've got all the guys who are participating in the night. Then we go in to the open, the classic open everybody loves. And then we jump right into Hogan. And it's a little strange. Back then they're trying to pump Hulk Hogan. He's the champ for 4 years. He's the guy who was on Sports Illustrated in every talk show. They go into this thing where he's bodybuilding, which back then might have been cool. People that watch it today, probably a little dorky, I'm not quite sure. And then Hogan being Hogan at the end of the thing.
Yeah, I don't know if we're starting on that. That gets my what is kind of aged the worst.
Yeah.
Is that it's really tough to watch for me. It's funny for me. I cringe because I'm like, I hope someone is not watching this for the first time they see Hulk Hogan.
You're
because
right.
That's what I cringe for. Because it just doesn't hold up. I mean, it fit with the time. If you go back and watch any, I don't care if you're watching WCW or WWE. I'm sorry, WWF, NWA, whatever we were watching. There were cheesy stuff all over the place in these videos, but this does not. I mean, and then his pose at the end where he does the sinister laugh. It's hilarious if you grew up in the era. Probably unwatchable if you've never seen this era before.
Yeah, and it's right off the bat, too. So anybody that hears about this show that maybe started watching in the last 10 years or isn't 40 years old or anything, and they hear all this bad stuff about Hogan, this is not going to help anyone else's case whatsoever. Not at all. Definitely has not aged well at all. Well, that isn't the first match of the night. The first match of the night is for the IC title. This feud had been going a little bit here. You had Macho Man kind of turn face a few months earlier. Honky Tonk Man drills him with the guitar when he was locked in the ropes with the help from the Hearts, and he throws Elizabeth down. They run all of that back. Macho says, I'm getting my revenge tonight. I'm going to win my IC title back. I'm getting my revenge for what you did to Liz. And then they have their match. My biggest thing right here, Nick, before we get into the match, which was pretty good, and that it ends in a DQ. So, or count out. Macho wins by count out. But the biggest thing here is they are really going hard. Macho is a good guy because he had been a bad guy for so long. He treated Elizabeth like crap for so long. And this is nonstop how good of a guy he is. That was the biggest thing there. And obviously that's setting him up for WrestleMania IV to win the belt.
And they did a good job of turning it and flipping it to the Honky Tonk was the bad guy when it came to women. Mm-hmm. It became more Macho Man was standing up for the integrity, the honor, if you will, of Miss Elizabeth. And Honky was the guy who was maybe kind of the male chauvinistic pig, if you would.
Absolutely. Yeah, right.
You know, and I but that place pops for Savage. To say he's over would be minimalizing it. Mm-hmm. That place pops for him. This guy is hot.
Yep, and he was as a bad guy, and they were forced to turn him. But yeah, you nailed it right there, because Honky has in his interviews, the two that he has during the thing, he's constantly talking about Elizabeth wants me. Look at me. I'm awesome. Elizabeth, I'm going to give her what she wants. I'm going to take her to the Heartbreak Hotel. She's going to love me tender, all this stuff. Just probably stuff you can't say today. And two takeaways from this. Obviously, they're pushing Macho through the roof. And it's funny the ways they're doing it. Like after the match, Liz tries to open the ropes for him. But he's like, oh, no. And then he opens the ropes for her. And you would have thought, like, the way Vince sold that, you would have thought, like, he stopped the bombing of the Capitol or something. You know what I mean? Like, oh, my gosh, what a great person. He's doing what he was supposed to do. It's like the Chris Rock joke from back in the day. You don't get credit for doing what you're supposed to do. And then Honky, as a kid, I hated Honky. Hated. If I would have been this age in 1988, watching Honky do some of the stuff that he was doing, when he gets in the ring and starts dancing in front of Elizabeth, like animals do, you know, when they're trying to mate or something, like they're showing off, or a peacock shows off his tail. He's in there dancing. It's the most ridiculous thing on earth, but it's hilarious.
And I don't care what people say. Honky was awesome as a heel. He was definitely over as far as heels go, People hated that guy.
Yeah.
I hated that guy. But when you look back, it wasn't go away heat. It was somebody kick this guy's butt. And that's what you're supposed to do as a heel.
Yep. And Macho doesn't win the belt. But again, this whole thing was setting up him to now be the face of the company because Hogan's leaving. They need to get the belt off Hogan because he's going to do No Holds Barred. He's going to do his movie. So they got to build this, and that's what they did. He puts Liz up on the shoulder for the first time. Vince is just in his element here, selling this like he's the greatest person on earth. So then we get to Hogan and Andre, second match of the night. They show the replays of what we already talked about what happened at WrestleMania 3 and how we got to this moment. Here's something that I never noticed, though, until I went and watched this again. I don't know how I didn't remember. But Jesse says, Joey Morella was the referee at 3. I'm so glad that Dave Hebner is the referee here. I'm so glad that he's the referee. Little did we know, he was setting up what was going to happen here.
They keep making inclinations and pointing out facts like, oh, he's calling it great. He's calling the whole time he's calling it down the middle. They keep drawing. And as a kid, I didn't pick this up.
No.
But they are drawing attention to the referee the entire time these two are going.
Yeah. And again, they did such a good job with this, man.
Yes.
When the way they did everything. Now, they're on a wide shot. And here's something else I never noticed. Andre can barely get into the ring. They're on a wide shot, so I never really paid attention to it. But it's down in the corner, and he's coming up the steps. He can barely get up those steps. And now, knowing what we knew years later, it's unbelievable that he was even fighting at this point. But everything they did, man, they made it sound like a real sport. All the stuff we keep talking about with Michael Cole or on AEW with JR and the way they call things, man. Jesse's sitting there, oh, Hogan's all worked up. Look at Andre. He's cool, calm, collected. Calm.
This is what I thought we were going to get from AEW.
Yeah.
When they had advertised that we're going to do records. We're going to be the real show. We're going to make this more of a spectacle, a main event.
Yes.
And they failed. People go back and watch this. Don't tell me about the match. I understand that. Andre's going to be dead in 5 years. He's not a 5-star guy. Watch this from several weeks back and how they do it. It is so much better than anything you've seen. If you're 15, anything you've seen in your lifetime. Yeah,
just the build. And even as far as the shot, which you've seen on numerous Andre montages for years, the shot from his feet all the way up his body, and then he's standing there. Just that right there to make you go, oh, my gosh, this guy is impossible. How's he going to beat this guy? That's a shot, me being in television, it's probably because of this. I use that shot all the time when I'm doing stories on people. Some kids, whoever he is, and he's a big-time basketball player, football player, I love that shot all the way up. So he looks larger than life. Even stuff like that sells the story. They don't do that stuff anymore, man.
Well, you can't because the Young Bucks are in the whole camera angle if you start with them. Like you can't shoot up. They're already in the whole angle. I'm kidding. But yeah, they don't. They really don't. And me and you have always said this. It is the little things, man, that sell these. You got to pay attention to the detail.
Yep.
And this was done. And you felt, go back and watch this, folks. You felt this was big. This felt like Tyson Holyfield.
Yeah.
Or, this
bigger.
Was big. Yeah, this was huge.
Yep. So we know what happens. Andre does a little half suplex. Hogan's arm, his shoulder is up at 1. Ref counts anyway. Everybody's shocked. Holy crap, what happened? So then Andre hands over the World Tag Team Championship, he says, to DiBiase. So he hands that over. And then, of course, then we get the shot. Wait a minute, what's going on here? Hogan's I don't know what happened. And then Andre and DiBiase start leaving. Then we go back to a shot. We see two of the same dude in the ring. Now, I had only ever seen WWF. Earl Hebner was in NWA 2 weeks earlier. He is at the Bunkhouse Stampede. He is in NWA. He is at Starrcade 1987. But I didn't know that.
I did not either.
And I bet you a lot of other people didn't know that either. They just thought it was like the NCAA. He's a referee. He's a wrestling ref. So he refs over here and he refs over there. I had no idea. Well, it turns out that Earl wanted to come over. Dave wanted to go more backstage. And he's like, hey, can you get me this is according to Bruce Pritchard. Hey, can you get me in with you guys? And he said, yeah, let me check. And apparently when he asked Vince, then the wheel started turning, oh my gosh, we could do this. Oh my gosh. And the identical twin thing. But I never thought about that. I mean, I believed Hogan afterward when he said they got some guy plastic surgery. I was 7 years old. I didn't know. Oh my gosh.
You just told me this tonight. I was under the assumption. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. I thought DiBiase really paid.
I think there were a lot of people like me. And I mean, I'm sure there were many people. We all know CM Punk, tape trader, was working all over the world, watching all the events.
He was watching Misawa.
Yeah. But other than him, the regular person, maybe it was still kind of regional, wasn't it? The South was more watching the NWA. I don't know what time WCW really came in. I know they had the Pro at some point that came in on Saturday nights. I think I don't know when, but I was watching WWF.
Well,
I didn't know who Earl was.
Well, just give me your thoughts as even as an older person. This is just still unbelievable. I think this is
awesome.
The greatest thing they have ever done. Even if I watch this today, I'd be like, all right, they're twins, but just to do that. And no one knew that this guy had a twin. Terminator 2, they did a lot of those shots because Linda Hamilton had a twin sister nobody knew about. That's how they did a lot of that stuff. So to see Dave Hebner and two of them, it just blew your freaking mind. Brilliant booking. I don't know that anything can ever top this. And that ain't 7-year-old Sloke. That's 40-year-old Sloke saying that. Just awesome.
No, Hogan going into 3, Andre to the Savage feud, and all this ties in, right? Because this is all a story that just keeps going, and Savage gets immersed into it. And then the following year, you're going to see Savage versus Hogan at WrestleMania 5, right. This is some of the greatest writing and storytelling, in my opinion, that WWF, whatever you want to call it, has ever done.
Yeah.
It was just awesome. And there was no internet, no dirt sheet. No one knew, nobody was blowing.
Nobody knew Earl was coming. Nobody knew.
No.
And you can say what you want about WrestleMania 4 and 5. I know you love both of them. A lot of people don't, especially looking back all these years later. But the setup to WrestleMania 4 and WrestleMania 5, we're obviously talking about 4. Then the main event again the next year where the Mega Powers explode. The setup to these two WrestleManias is the best storytelling I think they have ever done. I will put it up against anything they ever did in the Attitude Era. It's better than Hogan Andre's build where they're fighting because one trophy was bigger than the other. This is the best storytelling they have done. And obviously, Commissioner Tunney or President Jack Tunney stripped Andre or DiBiase, whoever, of the title, and they had the tournament. Macho Man wins. There we go. Now we have our babyface, which set up the next year, a year later, when Hogan comes back. So just incredible, man. Just absolutely incredible. Hogan goes to the back. He's crying his eyes out. It is absolutely, in my mind, just hilarious. Nick, let's take a listen to Hulk Hogan after this match where he gets screwed out of his title that he had for 4 years in front of 33 million people. Hulk Hogan, and I wish you could see it. It is online. Go find it. If you got to see this dude's face. But here's the audio of Hogan after the loss with Mean Gene.
Hulk Hogan, I'm sure there's going to be a thorough investigation by the World Wrestling Federation into what happened here tonight, and I know you could not be any more disappointed.
How much money did they spend on the plastic surgery, man? I had all bases covered. I had the Hulkamaniacs watching DiBiase. I had Virgil in his place. Never in my wildest dreams, me, Gene, would I think that I would get ripped off by a penny pinching two-timing referee. How much money on the plastic surgery? How much money did he spend to pay the referee off? When I turned around, me, Gene, they were identical.
Right here, Holt. Here it is now.
Shoulder, brother. Look at the shoulder.
That's it.
The referee is paid off, brother. Look at the $100 bill falling out of his pocket.
I know you're disappointed. Hulk Hogan, Vince McMahon, Jesse Vince.
And it cuts right there, but he screams Hulkamaniacs. They were identical.
And Ryan, the coolest thing too, though, that people forget, God bless that we didn't have the internet. And I say that, I understand some great things. A lot of people like to talk about wrestling and read the rumors. $1 Million Man was a real $1 Million Man to me.
I didn't know.
Vince said that, and he didn't let him ride with the other wrestlers. He flew him solo. You know, he did all these things to make this guy, if you saw him, he arrived to the arena in a limo. He was the $1 Million Man.
Yeah.
So was it quite plausible for a 9-year-old me to think this guy paid some dude to have plastic surgery?
Dude.
Yeah. Hell yes.
I've told this story before, and going back to me and my brother, we immediately told on ourselves for watching wrestling, which we weren't supposed to do. Ran up the steps. My dad was watching God knows what up there, probably MASH reruns or something. I don't know what he was doing. And we're like, Dad, they can't do that, right? So what happened was $1 Million Man paid to have some guy looked like some other guy, and then and he, they can't do that. And his shoulder was up, Dad. They got it. That's not right. They can't do that. And we just kept saying, oh, they can't do that. They can't do that. Totally sold, hook, line, and sinker. Amazing. Look at the $100 bills falling out of his pocket. There weren't any bills falling out, but just incredible. And it was only an hour show, unlike Saturday night's main event, which was an hour and a half. So they ran along. The last match, which is the Hearts against Strikeforce, literally goes 2 seconds, and they have to go off the air. And they go off the air, and they must have been told, hey, we're heavy. We're heavy here on time. You got to wrap this up now. They go off the air. It is about 4 seconds later. 1, 2, 3. So they just missed. But again, that wasn't what anybody was tuning in for. They were tuning in for this Hogan Andre match. And Macho Man, I think, as well, too. But this Hogan Andre match, the most significant match in television history. I don't care what you think about Hulk Hogan nowadays. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And you can say it's because it was a different time. Well, it was. Sorry. Wizard of Oz was a great movie in 1930. Well, it ain't today. So it was awesome, man. Give me your best moment, Nick, of the night. What was the best moment?
Best moment of the night? I'm going to have to go Andre pinning Hogan. The presentation of the belt to Andre surrendering it to DiBiase. Here's why. You talked a little bit about the Hart Foundation Strikeforce. I remember Little Horts. I'm standing there. I am standing up after this happened. Commercial goes off. They come back. Hearts are in the ring. Strikeforce's music. I'm like, whoa. Back this up. Head back up the damn aisle. We're not done here. Hogan got cheated. This is not over yet, you know? And it was, I think that is the best moment of the night. He lost.
Yeah.
Guys, I know they switched belts like in nothing today.
Right.
Hulk Hogan lost.
Yes.
I had watched him beat and you were waiting.
No. Way he lost, though, it wasn't.
Yes.
We thought he could lose, but to get cheated.
Jack Tunney, get out here. Do something, man. Yeah.
My best moment of the night is, I think it's one of those Mount Rushmore moments in wrestling, at least in WWE, WWF. It's when they cut to the two referees. That moment where you sit there and you see two of the same guy and you're just, what just happened? Just that image of two refs at the same time who are identical twins. That still is unbelievable to me. And they pulled it off. Like you said, nobody knew. And, I wasn't reading the Torch or the Observer in 1988. Maybe they knew that there were two Hebners. They probably did. I sure as heck didn't. And I guarantee you that 32 of the 33 million people watching that night had no clue that there were two Hebners. Just absolutely incredible, man. Moment of the night. How about the best line of the night, man? I mean, there's so many good ones. There are so many good ones. You've got Jesse Ventura, the best of all time on color commentary.
Go back and watch
Honky.
him.
You got
He's
Macho.
amazing.
You got all this. And since we're doing it, let's run back the beginning of the show. They always start with about a 15-second clip from every dude. Let's just play the Macho and the Honky ones leading in to their thing.
Two of the best lines.
Two of the best lines coming right here. Let's check it out.
Randy Savage, and this is the bravest woman ever to enter a wrestling ring, my manager, the lovely Elizabeth. Yeah, and you all saw that greasy bully Honky Tonk Man strike her down. Well, tonight he goes down, and I'm going to send the Honky Tonk Man on the first bus back to Disgraceland. Yeah, cut rate Elvis, one-way ticket, yeah.
What a whiner that Macho Man is. He couldn't keep this belt. He can't keep his woman satisfied. You all saw her fall head over heels over me. And he was a lousy tune-up for my guitar.
But he's a very lucky man.
How so, Jimmy?
He's very lucky you don't play the piano.
Great. Disgraceland.
I'm sorry. That is awesome. These guys, don't tell me Apollo Crews is the Honky Tonk Man. Because he Honky Tonk Man was, and even the next one he comes in, he uses about 6 or 7 Elvis song titles to cut a whole promo.
Yeah,
in the next one, the backstage of Gene, it's just awesome,
dude. It's great. So what do you got? What's your?
I think
the line of the night.
I love the Honkies one, man. When you couldn't keep his belt, he couldn't keep his woman satisfied. You saw her fall heads over heels for me, and he was a lousy tune-up for my guitar.
Lousy tune-up for my guitar. Yeah, there's other ones in here too, man. You know I'm a big fan of anytime anybody gets called a nickel and dimer or a ham and egger. Jesse says nickel and dime Hulkamaniacs at some point in the night, so that was great.
When Savage gets the guitar, I don't know what it is. People got to watch this. It's the way Jesse says things. Like, it's just real. I don't know if you get what I'm meaning like that. When he called Hogan out, Hogan is a bad guy if you watch him wrestle in the ring. Yeah. And the way Savage takes the guitar and breaks it, and Jesse in the cleanest, most plain voice, I can't believe he would do that to an instrument,
Totally non-selling that he smoked somebody. Yeah. It's great. I mean, and it is so good. We played the Hogan interview, and to me, that's one of the funniest moments in wrestling history. As good as those other lines are, I have probably watched that Hogan interview no less than 100 times in my life. He's crying. And again, the audio cut out there, but when he goes, Hulkamaniacs, and the look on his face, well, you could see the $100 bills falling out. No, you can't. Hulk, we're watching. There's no money. Like, it's just hilarious to me. That entire interview is the line of the night for me. Hogan doing that, and they were identical, and he just keeps. It's so good, man. That whole thing is just great.
As a kid, he wasn't screaming anything you weren't screaming at home.
Yeah, because you cheated. Yeah, he was. We were cheating. Yeah, because I was cheated, as Andre would say. What do you think, Nick? What is aged the best. Now we're talking 1988. We are talking 33 years ago. What has aged the best from this show?
Ryan, I'm going to hit you with three really quick. Boom, boom, and boom. Number one, the backstage interviews with Mean Gene. I'm sorry. I don't know why this made the show flow better, gave people more time. Those backstage interviews are still cool to watch today. I'm sorry they don't do them as much or as well, if you will.
They don't do them as well.
You know, if you will. Number two, Jesse. He is still, I don't care, you Jim Ross fans or whoever, Michael Cole, get out of here. He's the best there ever was on that mic. He made you believe Coco Beware was good. He's not. Go back and watch these people. Rick Model Martello is not good. Tito Santana, they don't, and I don't mean not good. Like, I love the Model. Like,
he makes them seem like they're a semi-main event type.
Yes, that they could. That the Model could wrestle Hogan and maybe beat him.
Yeah,
that's how he. And the final one, the most important one, Randy Savage. If Hulk Hogan is Tom Brady, Randy Savage is Patrick Mahomes. In my opinion, he is the only man who can cut promos and work and do it all in any era. He could survive today. He could survive in the 80s. He could survive in the 90s. I'm dead serious. You could time machine him out of the 80s right now, put him in wrestling today, and he'd still be cool.
Absolutely.
He is the Macho Man. He sits on my Mount Everest at number 4. He is awesome. He has aged like a fine wine.
Absolutely. And for me, what aged the best is just the entire angle. I think it would hold up today. But what moment has aged the best is something we haven't talked about. And yeah, he's a little dude. And I saw people talk about this on AEW Revolution the other day. When Cage walked up the steps with Darby Allin up in the suplex hold and went up steps holding him, like, I know you didn't see the pay-per-view, the way the British Bulldog used to hold a dude before he dropped him for the suplex, holding him up a flight of steps. Everyone went crazy about the strength. I looked at it and went, the guy weighs 106 pounds. Now, if that's the case, here's what holds up the best for me in this show. Showing off Hulk Hogan's strength. He took one of the Hebners and ran from one side of the ring to the other with him over his head and press slammed him at least 20 feet down the aisle over everyone's head. Virgil tries to save him and he can't catch him. And he goes,
I think he got hurt.
He might have.
If he's not hurt, he's really selling it well on the ground. But I think maybe I'm wrong. I thought I read somewhere that he really got hurt on that because Hogan launched him and just show off. They tried to show off Hogan's strength at the beginning with that cheesy montage with Jake the Snake's music underneath it, by the way, before Jake got music. And just the strength of that. If you watch it today and just show some guy, someone that doesn't like wrestling or thinks wrestling is fake or whatever, it's still
just
safe.
show them that. And they'll be like, whoa, that dude's strong. That holds up the best to me.
It's awesome.
We talked about funniest moment, did we not? Did we already do that? I think we did.
Best moment, I said what didn't hold up. Worst was the promo for me at the beginning. But funniest.
We forgot. What holds up the worst from this show?
The Hogan video for me, of him working out. It just doesn't hold up well.
Cheesy 80s stuff. I'm going to go with anything having to do with Liz. The honky, it's funny, and I mentioned earlier that it's funny.
And folks got to remember, it's not real, right? Before we all start getting woke on Twitter, it's not real.
Right. Yeah. They're playing roles.
Elizabeth knows she was okay with the angle. She was, they checked with her.
Right. But the whole thing, Macho, his whole storyline forever was maybe not that he was a woman beater, but he always stood behind her. Didn't put her in harm's way. A lot of times he fought matches for her, with her on the line. A lot of stuff Honky said They showed the previous Saturday night's main event where he threw her to the ground. You know, that's stuff that I don't
people
think.
take her by the chin and like move her face around. I mean, that would not hold up well
No,
today.
he did that stuff all the time, and he does it at WrestleMania 5. Then a year later, when he turns heel again, any of that stuff, you know, you're not going to get away with today. How about the funniest moment? To me, I talked about it.
The plastic surgery.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's mine.
Hogan,
I know we don't need to re-go into that because you covered it. That was my funniest moment.
Me
Hogan
too.
Screaming the plastic surgery.
Absolutely. That's the funniest thing, man. Match of the night. No, none of these are winning 5 stars or anything, but I mean,
I don't care.
There's no doubt.
They were awesome. Here. They were awesome. Hogan Andre is the match of the night to me. It was awesome. It goes 9 minutes. It's for those of you that jobbed the WrestleMania 3 match. This is a much better match.
And there's more to it.
Yeah, and these two. It was what they could do. Their first one-on-one, like we said, since 3. And the match had an amazing storyline with DiBiase buying Andre's services. And here's I cared about everyone involved in that angle. Maybe not so much Virgil, but I knew he played an integral role.
But you weren't supposed to, though, either.
Right.
You know? He's the bodyguard.
You knew he could cost you a match against DiBiase. He had done it, to people before. So I cared about it. In the end, I'm still sitting here waiting. I'm still waiting for Jack Tunney to come out and call this back. I don't know what's going on. I mean, it was amazing.
It's the best. Everything about it. And you nailed it. You know, when you say best match nowadays, everybody immediately goes to, well, there wasn't any tope suicidas. And nobody, like, you don't have to have all of that. You can have a good match based solely on psychology and solely on the angle itself. There was so much going into this. The deck was stacked against Hogan. And then, because you're sitting there going, you're like, all right, they're going to screw him. What are they going to do? Is DiBiase going to interfere? Is he going to hit him with a chair? Is he going to this, that? Nobody. Where was on your bingo card? Oh, they're going to have plastic surgery on a different ref, and there's going to be 2 refs, and he's going to lock up the good ref, and then he's going to where was that on your bingo card of finishes? It wasn't. So, and then you just cared so much about everything. And Hogan losing the belt for the first time in 4 years. And him turning the belt over to DiBiase. Like, all of this was so big. It was incredible. So, no, they didn't do 8 Hurricane Ranas and all this other, and dives and all this. Didn't have to. They didn't have to.
And I'll just say really quick, Ryan, that allows you to do that in those other matches because your lower angles might all be not big angles, right? You know, I mean, maybe not everybody was into Rey Mysterio versus Juventud, but they put on the 5-star match and you left saying, oh, I don't really know what they were fighting on. Man, but that was a sick match.
And if they didn't run out of time, that would have been the tag match. The Hearts and Strike Force, that's 4 great workers. That would have been the worked match of the night.
And that allows people to appreciate the work ethic in that match, whereas all the matches aren't the same. The Hogan match, who cared? You cared about the story, the angle, you know?
Yeah. If there was one thing you want to change in the night, you know, one thing you're like, this is a great show. This is a 5-star show, but they could have done a little job, maybe a little better job right here. What would you?
We're nitpicking here.
Yeah.
All right. I tried. I love this thing from top to bottom. So this is hard for me. Number one, who was in charge of Honky Tonk's music when Macho Man was doing the interview in the background with Gene?
Yeah, overplayed
it's like watching the Dusty Rhodes DVD where the guy and Dusty's like, I was at the Armory, and I'm like, where were you? I can't hear.
You can't. I see your mouth moving.
Yeah, who did this? And so that if you could run that back and maybe cut or just somehow
technical difficulty there. Yeah.
And the only other one, where the hell is Dave Hebner this whole night? I mean, he sees there's a fake brother in the ring, dude. Like, where is this guy?
Did they ever say, like, did Macho Man lock him in Elizabeth's closet instead of Elizabeth because he was turning good?
If you were really nitpicking, that to me is the biggest fault. Like, Hebner, this guy walks out to the ring pretending to be Dave Hebner, refs the entire match, makes the bad call at the end, Decisions made, walks over,
Yeah.
awards the belt to Andre. He gives it to Divya, and then Dave was sitting in the back reading the news. Oh my God!
Yeah. Oh, I missed my entire match.
That would be my nitpicking.
Well, and they were off TV for a while after that because I think they wanted people to forget all of a sudden Dave Hebner's out there refereeing again. So I don't know that they ever explained that. That would have been, and that's not nitpicking this show. It's nitpicking later down the line. They didn't tell the story. Yes, did Macho Man lock you in a closet, where he normally locked Liz? Is that where he put you? Like, how did you get out? Who let you out? Like, how did you get away? Or did they beat you up in the back and you just came to right now? I wish they would have done that. Yeah, for me, I would just say, I wish it was an hour and a half, not just an hour. I wish it was longer. The show does not seem. On you?
There is dark matches.
Yeah, well, because it was a real show. Yeah, It was a real show. So I would have maybe thrown another match on there.
At least got to finish the Hearts
You can
match.
go maybe even deeper after what happens. Maybe Mean Gene can go run down one of the Hebners. What the heck happened? Who are you? Where'd you come from? They could have done that. They could have thrown one more match, or we could have gotten the entire tag team match that we were supposed to get.
Sure.
I would have liked to do that, but obviously NBC was thinking, hey, we're giving you an hour in prime time for the first time in 30 years, on our, in Friday nights back then. Dude, there were good shows on Friday nights back then. It's not
TGI Friday. You were not going. You weren't going up what you're going. I mean, I don't think it's a well slotted zone tonight these days.
No, you don't want to be on Friday.
But back then, I mean, you're going up against Michelle and Uncle
Full
Jesse.
House
That's a tough run you're going up to against on Friday. That lineup was Family Matters, I think, went off.
And think
on
about
Friday.
this too. Family Matters wasn't out yet, but Full House definitely was. And here's the other thing. You're up in sweeps. For those who don't know what sweeps is, that's when the ratings really matter. That's when the networks or local TV, they put on their best shows. And it's February, May, and November. That's why usually when you're not in a pandemic, the Oscars and the Grammys and all these shows. The Super Bowl is the first week in February. So
March
you can
Madness.
get the highest rating shows that you can get. And you can then go to the advertisers and go, hey, look, we just got 33 million viewers. That commercial that only cost 10 grand last year, yeah, it's going to cost 100 grand this year because look at our ratings. That's what sweeps are. That's why all the cliffhangers are always in May at the end of the year, because that's the big time for ratings, sweeps. So, and they gave them time in sweeps, and they came through. So Nick, what's your biggest take? What's your hottest take from this show?
Hogan
We're
lost.
going on the Skip Bayless hot take train right now.
Hogan lost. Hogan lost the belt. This can't be real. And now I'm putting myself back in 88, right? Not sitting here. This can't be real. I have watched this guy defeat Bundy, Stud, Kamala, Terry Funk. I mean, you list the Piper, Orndorff. This guy has went and defeated everybody, and it stood. I remember, I think Dallas came on after some soap opera, and it starts playing. I'm like, what are we doing here? NBC, you got to bring back this, and we have to fix what has happened here. He lost. I mean, Sloke, this is what, for all you people today, guys and gals, this guy's shoulders, 84 January, I believe he wins the belt from the Sheik. Am I correct on that, Sloke?
Yes,
This
sir.
guy had not had his shoulders hit the mat or had been submitted to that point.
Yeah.
I mean, this count out, DQ, that's fine. Whatever. Unbelievable. Hottest takeaway, Hogan lost the belt.
I have not watched this show in its entirety in years. I don't even know how many years it's been since, if I ever did go back, I just watched the Hogan parts and that match. I watched it from top to bottom, and I come away with it. Today, Honky Tonk Man is criminally underrated.
Yes.
Back then, he was, that heel that kept getting away with the belt, And then after he lost the belt, his career kind of fizzled a little bit. He was still a dude, but he got in tag teams, and he wasn't really a dude anymore. And then he just became a joke in the late 90s. They'd bring him out here and there, and it was just a joke. And now I don't think anybody ever even thinks about this guy. This dude stole the show on this night with what we already played. He had another interview where he did all the Elvis lines, and then he gets in the ring and he's dancing for Liz and doing. He is criminally underrated. This dude knew his gimmick and he nailed it. If you've never seen the vote of confidence where they vote when he was a good guy because Vince wanted him to be a face, and they vote that they don't like him, the stuff he says, I'm going to slap some babies, and it's incredible. This dude should be remembered better than how he's remembered.
87 and 88. And I know when we think about 2 years, that was a long time. 87 and 88, he's the epitome of heel mid-card.
Yeah.
He is the epitome of it. He is the heel, he is the top mid-card guy. And he a great Intercontinental champion. He really was.
Yep. So, who is, Nick? Who is the big winner of the night?
This is going to be cheesy coming from me. You want to go first? You want me to go first? This is going to be cheesy.
All right. Well, I can go, and we may have the same guy after hearing you say that, but
we don't.
Macho Man won the night. Macho Man was the winner of this night. Like we said before, the big push for him to be the man now. And yeah, he did look kind of stupid celebrating like Luger at SummerSlam 93 when he beat Yoko by countout. He acted like he won the belt and he didn't. Macho kind of acts like that a little bit, but knowing what we know now, and probably even then a little bit by the end of the night, you knew they were strapping the rocket on this dude. And they turned him face. He loved Elizabeth. He was such a good guy now. He was trying to be the new Hulk Hogan, the new superhero. And that push really started right here, I think. And in front of 33 million people, maybe that's why he's remembered still, the way Hogan is remembered still, as one of the greats of the 80s, one of the faces of wrestling. People still know. If you go back and you name a ton of dudes, more people know Macho Man than know dang near any other dude except for Hulk Hogan. And
they're still dressing up as Macho Man at parties. Ain't nobody coming to a party as CM Punk. So, I mean, it's not happening. You know, they're still there. And just say one of his lines. Say, ooh, yeah. Or say, snap into a Slim Jim.
Yep.
And see what the response is. People love this guy.
Yep. I felt he came away the winner of the night.
I can't. Ryan, mine's cheesy, and I thought for a while I was going to go DiBiase was going to be my pick because he gets the belt. He really gets over as this kind of the transition from Giant to him as the number one bad guy in the company.
Yep.
And if I have to pick a person, I'm going to give it to him. But Ryan, the winner's WrestleMania IV. This 15.2 on the Nielsen. 33 million viewers. The winner is WrestleMania 4 for me. This is why I love 4. And people, if you're just watching 4 as a standalone pay-per-view, yeah, you're probably going to hate it. The tournament's not that strong. The matches, I don't know if they're, Hogan, Warrior, Hercules ain't taking home a 5-star.
If you know the background, if they had the pre-match packages that they've had since the Attitude Era, during WrestleMania 4, people would look at it a lot different because they don't understand how everything happened.
It was awesome. And when you look at the tournament, there pretty much were the top guys that they could put in the tournament. Warrior was fighting Hercules in what was a real feud that people from my generation remember. The Barber fighting the Honky Tonk in a real feud. Hatred, people remembered. Macho, DiBiase, Strike Force losing the belts. To Demolition. I don't know. I think WrestleMania 4, they aired it on a Friday night, and they got 33 million viewers, man. And I think that really helped the ticket sales because how are we going to get this belt back? It can't stay on DiBiase. Someone's got to get this belt back. Hogan or Savage at 4, right?
Yep. You would think. Yeah, you would have thought. I mean, to me, man, and watching it again, it's hard to say this is not in contention for the best show ever. I think it is possibly the best single night angle ever. I mean, it is unbelievable, man. I mean, except for, they had to go off the air early, this is a perfect show. Everything they wanted to accomplish, they accomplished. Honky Tonk looks like a jerk. Macho Man looks like he's the next dude. The twin referees comes off perfectly. DiBiase gets all the heat in the world for buying the title.
Andre stayed strong.
Andre stays strong. He looks like, he knows what he's doing, and he's still a force. Hogan
you didn't hurt Hogan.
Strong.
Yeah, you didn't hurt him with that loss because Little Hortz didn't believe the loss.
No. Every single thing they wanted to accomplish got done in front of a billion people. This is a perfect show. This show
awesome.
It's perfect. Nick, you got anything else you want to say about it?
No, I just go back and watch these Saturday night's main events if you can, and then watch 4. Watch the ride into 4. I'm telling you, it's better than people think it is. Yes, the main event is freaking awesome, man. Hogan coming back down the stairs at 4 to settle this thing once and for, it was so cool.
Right.
And this was just, a softball pitch to set up WrestleMania 4, and they knocked it out of the park at this main event.
An absolute grand slam. An absolute grand slam. We appreciate you being here with us, guys, and we're going to bounce out of here listening to the second best Saturday night's main event theme. I'm afraid we might get a copyright infringement if we use the one that not even WWE can use. So let's not do that. But anything else, Nick? We're out of here.
Enjoy WrestleMania season. We'll see you soon, folks.
Pleasure's all yours, Bucky boys.